of a guy who defied all analytics. Whoa, you're looking a little hazy over there, bro. What's
I'm
going on?
hazy. What's
Yeah,
happening over here?
wipe off your camera lens. Are you on the phone or
I'm on the phone, yeah.
wipe on the top of your phone?
The top of my phone.
So
All
you're
right.
sideways now.
I'm sideways.
Flip it back vertical real quick.
I can't do that because I have it in this stand
Okay, so wipe on the sides of your phone like this. Wipe
on
on them.
this. All
Yep.
right. Like
Other
this?
side. Other side. Other sides.
Other side is it? There.
Yeah.
That's all I got, bro.
That's all you got. All right, you're good. You're
That's
good.
all I got. We
What's
got a
going
good
on, bud?
fun.
How was your weekend?
Well, weekend was chill. How about yours? Nothing crazy.
Flew up to New York. Had to
Okay.
surprise my buddy Matt for his 40th birthday, which was good.
Wow, good for you.
We watched Team USA and Team Canada. I know you don't watch a ton of hockey games. Did you watch that at all?
Believe it or not, I haven't watched much hockey lately, but Shooter and the Stash were both here
Nice,
filming, and I sat down to watch the game,
bro.
and they were asking me who you cheering for. I said I'm cheering for Canada. So I literally just sat and watched the beginning of the game, and thank God I did because
Bro,
I'm glad I saw that live. That I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I don't know if there's ever been a better way to punctuate the start of a game in any sport. Like maybe you'll have like a return for a kickoff, yes, but then it's just like it's a
Mm,
crescendo, it goes up and down. Same thing as like a leadoff home run, or something like that. It was fight,
yeah,
fight, fight, and then it
yeah,
just like that whole like fervor carried through the entire game. It was pretty wild, man.
yeah. I remember the days of John Cordick back in the day with the Montreal Canadiens. I remember they would go against Quebec Nordiques, and then the coach would say, "We're bringing this guy up just for Cordick," and literally they would put Cordick out at center. And they put the other dude there that was standing center ice, and they just dropped their gloves. And that's the best thing in the world, man. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like MMA right there. And then John Cordick would usually just mop people up. He couldn't score no goals, but he mopped some cats up for sure.
Did you ever see him fight against like Bob Probert or Ty Domi or any of those guys?
John Cordick, I think, fought with every fighter.
Yeah.
He wasn't scared of nobody. He was this big steroided up Indian cat that couldn't play hockey, but he could sure fight. He could fight his ass off, real.
Were you surprised that Canada lost 3-1?
I'm no. I am once again. I didn't. I wouldn't put any money on it.
Right.
I couldn't tell you who's on Canada's team. I told you I was cheering for Canada because that's where I'm from. But nothing in hockey would surprise me because I don't know none.
I hear that, buddy. I sent you the story today, one of the big stories in the NFL, which years ago, this was like it painted Richie Incognito in the worst light. They called him a bully. Jonathan Martin out of the game. You know, they got traded to the Niners, and then soon thereafter out of the game. And now the story comes out that it was exaggerated and that Jonathan Martin didn't get bullied. And I'm just like, wow, this is the greatest story to talk to Ian about because it's about a couple of offensive linemen busting each other's balls. And now this guy, Jonathan Martin's coming out and going, I wouldn't say it was bullying. Well, it's easy for you to say that now when you're saying like, oh, I spent 10 years trying to like Richie Incognito's definitely got some screws loose, right? Like we know that for a fact. This doesn't absolve that. Didn't he go into like his dad? Remember that he went to like a funeral home with his dad or some weird shit like that. But still, Ian, something like this painted him and some of the other offensive linemen in a bad light, but it doesn't seem like there was anything going on there that is much different than any other NFL locker room.
First of all, I don't know Richie Incognito. If you say he has a screw loose, I would tell you, boy, I'd like sometimes a whole team full of screwed loose type cats because
Right.
sometimes we're the best football players. Okay, so as far as when it happened with Richie Incognito, I was on the air at that time, and I wish I can go back to the film or the tape. I was like, bullied in an NFL locker room? No way. Because I'm telling you, right, and Jay, you've been around me for long enough.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody looks at me and says, you're going to do this, this, and other, you can say that if you want, but one of us is going to have to go.
Right.
Okay? Because the whole bullying thing and the whole bullying is new into America. Like now you can't cyberbully. I think bullying's part of life. I had guys try to bully me in my rookie year, and I sat them down. And I said, "Well, guys, I know I'm a rookie, but this is how it's going to go. You will not talk to me that way. I'm not that dude." So to hear of an offensive lineman getting bullied by another offensive lineman, dot his eye. If he's doing something you don't like, dot his I in front of everybody and let everybody know you can't be talked to that way. But an offensive lineman getting bullied to me is just not a thing. I didn't think it was a thing then, and I don't think it's a thing now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that it came out. And Now there's going to be, and I know Jonathan Martin's dad played some like voicemail, and he called him a
The
half N
lawyer, his
word and
dad,
all
who's
this
a
thing.
lawyer.
Yeah, well, his dad played him some. Listen, just because Richie Incognito, you can point to all these other things, right, and say that he's not all right, the greatest upstanding citizen, he didn't like his son, whatever. But the fact is that everybody painted this narrative, ESPN leading the way, that there was this big bullying scandal. They're the people that put the NFL send out a person to go through this entire thing, an investigator. Like they made this out to be like this was like the craziest thing of all time. And now you have the quote unquote victim saying it wasn't a big deal. It's just a lot to do about nothing.
Well, first of all, Jay, don't be shocked. You can't be shocked. I know you're not because
Right.
I like to go back to I think it's a few good men with Jack Nicholson. You
Mm-hmm.
can't handle the truth. Listen,
Right.
if investigators that have know nothing about football investigate,
Right.
they're going to find bullying. There's going to find bullying, but that doesn't mean somebody should walk away from the game because somebody bullied them. That's the most foreign thing I've ever heard in my life. One of my teammates is bullying me, so I'm leaving the locker room. I don't even know what I can't. It's hard for me to even say. So when they go investigate that, Jay, they're gonna find a bunch of stuff they don't want to see. A locker room is not the same as a locker room at like at the Daily Planet. Okay, there's different types of people in an NFL locker room, and if you can't handle the truth, don't put your nose in there.
Yeah, I look back at this situation and I go, are they going to post any like retractions? Are they going to post any apologies? No, nobody's going to do that. Like the NFL doesn't care. And that's why a lot of people, when they talk about like these athletes and all these different things, it's like at the end of the day, it's all about money, right? They felt pressure about this whole situation. They sent an investigator, they got the dirt, and then boom, they felt like they won. But did they really invest in mental health? Did they really try to get to the bottom of it? Because Richie Incognito went back to play after he was suspended. And he did pretty good. It's just kind of crazy, this
Yeah.
whole situation. Beck, you know as well as I do. NFL stands for not for long, and they know that because it's all about the almighty dollar for them. They don't really care about your health.
But when that Jonathan, I think Jonathan is his name, the
Yeah,
tackle
Jonathan Martin. Yeah.
Jonathan Martin, when he stepped away, this is what I said. He can't play.
Mm-hmm.
It's an excuse because he can't play. What would have to happen to Tristan Wirfs to make him leave the locker room? I mean, he could play. He's not going anywhere. He couldn't figure out the game because he was not playing well. He couldn't figure out the game, and he uses as an excuse to flee, and that's it. And it's just a point now where I was never on his side. And at any moment was I in on his side. And what's crazy is the press is going to write things the way they want you to read them. Okay,
Right.
I'm gonna give you a great example. The whole Liam Cohen situation. The
Mm-hmm.
press wrote. Okay, first of all, the Buccaneers own the press. I hope we all know that. The press is not going to write a lot of really scathing Buccaneer stuff. They'll will to a certain point, but the Buccaneers will say, "Don't write that." Okay, or they're not talking to Liam Cohen; they're talking to the Buccaneers. It made it sound like Liam Cohen is the biggest, devil in the country. When I just say to people, when does everybody evaluate every choice you
Right.
make
Mm-hmm.
and in sequence? If I go to a job and I'm like, no, guys, I don't want that job. It's not for me. Then I go back to my other job and say, hey, guys, I'm coming back. Then job says, oh, I'm going to give you 3 times more money and you can pick your own GM. I go, hey, guys, thank you. Dap them up and then I got to go. And then I go fulfill my lifetime dream. If any Buccaneer fan thinks that that was the wrong thing to do, then you're not American. That's the American thing to do. And I hated the fans and the fact that fans were like, he couldn't have done it that way. There was no other way to do it. He was just being a man and doing what he has to do. There was no right way for Liam Cohen to do that.
Well, I think, the one thing that you said that he went back and dabbed up. He never went back and dabbed them up. That's the whole contention
Well,
part of it,
that may be a
right?
text. I don't
But
know, but I'm
but
just telling
we,
you what I would do.
what you would do, but that's not what he did. But I'm
Understandable.
I'm on your side for what you started in the beginning there. Listen, we may not have liked the way he went about it by not going back and dabbing him up. But does this mean that the guy's Satan? Does this mean he's like a terrible human being?
No, he's
Like,
not.
no, man. He made a
No.
business decision. And the business decision, even though if he probably didn't do it on the up and up, like you got to put yourself in his position.
But what does the up and up mean? Make more money? Like that's the part that
No, I just think you
there's
go back.
nobody there. There's no other occupation where people sit there and they go, "Why did you take it like this?" I mean, nobody like I'm sure actors have to screw people over and that, but we never have a chance to comment it. It just seems like athletes and coaches always catch. Well, you're a bad person. No, man, he's just making a decision. And up in negotiation, I don't really even think exists.
Well, I think you do look at certain coaches and certain players where if the team tells them, "Hey, give us first right to refusal to give you the money that you're going to get from somebody else,"
But do
and
they
then you
owe it to them though?
no, I don't think it's not about owing, but it's about communication,
Mm,
right? It's about
well,
communication, right? If
mm,
you are one of those guys where if they know they listen, initially, it'd be one thing if the Bucks didn't give him permission at all, right? They gave him permission. They knew this is what he wanted to do. But they said, "Hey, we just want to cut this off here. Just hey, just don't take another interview." I'm pretty sure if Jason Light and the Buccaneers, they're not those type of people that are like, "Oh no, screw you. We're not going to let you." There's proof of concept that they already gave him an opportunity to do so. If he would have went back and said, "Hey, I know you told me not to go back and interview again, but the entire thing changed. They changed the GM. They're going to give me more money." I'm pretty sure Jason Light and the rest of those guys would be like, "Hey, man, we don't want to see you go, but you got to do what you got to do." The fact that they didn't even give Jason Light an opportunity to do that, do you think they would have just said, "Screw you, we're not going to allow you back"? Like that, it's proof of concept, right? We haven't seen Jason Light do that before. So why would we assume that he would do that to Liam Cohen, knowing that that's where he wants to be anyway? So why not be upfront with the guy?
I don't think Liam Cohen did anything wrong. I don't think Jason Light did anything wrong. I really don't. Like when it's not to me, this is not a story. It's not a story because if we didn't hear about the particulars, it would just be Liam Cohen leaving. So a
Right.
lot of times we don't hear these stories when, like for myself, okay, there was a time where I could have went to San Diego and played for the Chargers the year they went to the Super Bowl. I thought I was being loyal by staying here. That's what in my mind, I'm being loyal staying here. They owe me. Do you think they owed me? You think they paid me
No.
back though? That's the thing, though. Everybody wants to say that Liam Cohen fled and he wasn't this, he wasn't that. But you can't stick around like Byron Leftwich. What are the Buccaneers doing for Byron Leftwich now? I don't know if he has a job.
Right.
So, man, go get your money, bro. Straight up.
I want to ask you about a comment that I heard from Emmanuel Acho
Mm-hmm.
from Fox Sports. He was saying that with one Philadelphia Eagles like offseason, the Dallas Cowboys will be in the Super Bowl. Agree or disagree? I knew you would laugh before you had a comment. That's the best part. If you
Hey,
would ask me what is Ian's going to respond, I would say, well, first he's going to laugh, and then after he's going to tell you you're batshit crazy.
well, listen, I like Acho. First of all, very intelligent young man. I like most of the things he said.
You just like him because he sits next to Joy
he got to
Taylor.
bang Joy Taylor. So me and Acho is good. Okay. When you watch the Dallas Cowboys, do you see winning attitude? Because sometimes winning is an attitude as well. It's not
Right.
just talent; it's a winning attitude. When I watch the Dallas Cowboys, every time I watch them, they look completely different. They don't really fall back on anything. They got a couple of good players here and there. You think that crappy ass team is going to be a couple of free agent signings away from anything? You don't usually go from 6-11 to Super Bowl champions. It doesn't normally go that way. I did not see a team that was 2 players away or 3 players away from anything. They have a brand new system. They got a brand new coach. They got brand new coordinators. You think that's going to flip? He works for ESPN.
Oh,
All right.
Fox. Yeah,
Fox, same thing.
same thing. Yeah.
They got to bring up the Lakers. They got to bring up the Cowboys. They got to bring up the Yankees.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
It certainly is. And what also is part of it, when you look at some of these stories that we're seeing now, unfortunately, is this Justin Tucker situation. 7 more people added on to this misconduct, and he's now going to be linked. Increases the total 16 therapists from 8 spas to make allegations of inappropriate behavior by Justin Tucker. And whether he likes it or not, Ian, he's going to be forever linked to a guy like Deshaun Watson, who obviously went through his own thing. And now God knows what his career is. Justin Tucker's is a little situation. different situation because he is probably a first ballot or second ballot Hall of Famer. Sean
Mhm.
Watson never really, he was on his way, but never achieved that peak.
Yeah.
But man, Justin Tucker, I just don't see more and more people out in this situation. I just don't see how it's going to end well for him.
I I hate to comment on this from this far away. Okay,
Right.
you know very well. Okay, I don't know. I don't want to talk about these ladies. I don't know who they are. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know it's a very distinct possibility that those ladies did that on purpose. They knew what
Right.
they were doing. Okay, it's a possibility. We know that happens, right?
Yeah. Hell
So
yeah.
it's a possibility that the athletes are just going to get the little rub and tug and taking care of their business. And then afterwards, when one person complains, then everybody says, "Oh, whoa, you're allowed to complain about that?" And I might get millions of dollars. For me, there's certain situations like a Bill Cosby when you have a whole room full of people
Mm-hmm.
that you drugged up or something like that. But to me, Justin Tucker and Deshaun Watson is the exact same thing. Now, watch this. I thought Mike Tyson and Kobe Bryant was the same thing. But we have to watch when we look at somebody and we say that person is this, that person is that, because Justin Tucker and Deshaun Watson did the same exact thing. So did Mike Tyson and Kobe Bryant. But people looked at Mike different than they
Right.
looked at Kobe. So to me, I want everybody to look at Deshaun the same you're looking at Justin Tucker, because to me, I don't know if they did anything wrong, but there was something definitely gray about what they were doing.
Our guy Tristan Wirfs was on the Pivot podcast. I know you keep an eye on that every once in a while. Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, and Channing Crowder, and he was talking about Robert Hainsey, and we know that Big Bob Hainsey is a guy that solid, did what he could, filling in for Ryan Jensen, but probably not going to be back next year. And Tristan Wirfs spoke about like how he's his best friend and they grew up together, kind of thing. Just speak about how the relationships are there on the offensive line, because it just seems like with the Buccaneers, maybe more than other groups, there's just a special bond between these guys that usually don't get the accolades, right? The offensive line is an often forgotten group and a group that when you don't hear their names, it's usually that means they're doing a good job. But even though a guy like that is, not a starter and he's not part of the team's future, there's still a role for guys like that, isn't it?
We at the end of the day, you have to be able to play,
Oh,
okay?
of course.
Because at the an offense,
I'm just talking about the personal side. Like
sure,
you grow close to these guys, and
sure,
yeah, you as far as like the team needing him or
hmm
wanting him, yeah, you got to be able to play. But I
hmm
mean, I'm sure you were friends with guys in the offensive line, maybe that weren't starters and maybe that went to other places, but it doesn't change how you feel about these guys, doesn't it?
no, no. Listen, Tony Mayberry was here on Sunday. Tony comes by at least once a week. Tony, I don't know if Tony and I have ever even shook hands. It's a weird, you know what I'm saying? Like
You
we
just
were
get right
both
into it.
draft, we were both drafted in 1990. He was a fourth rounder. I was a fifth rounder. We were like four picks apart. He was number 61. I was number 62. Our lockers were beside each other. We played next to each other. We roomed with each other. So we were always, I think he was the best man at my wedding and vice versa. So that's my boy. And he'll be my boy forever. Steve Everett, I've talked about Steve Everett. Steve Everett was in town last week. We went to see Kerry King over there at Janice Live. So, the brotherhoods that you develop on the offensive line, it's different, dude. It's different because like I don't like to use war analogies, although there's a lot of similarities, but you feel like you've gone to war with these cats.
Hmm.
And when you've done that, like Tony Mayberry for myself, every story I tell, Tony was right there. I can't think of one story that I have that Tony wasn't next to me in one way or another. So I could
Right.
tell all these crazy stories and ask Tony. He go, yeah, that's the way it happened. He doesn't really remember a lot of stuff. I'm the big rememberer. So any questions comes to me usually.
He's the rememberer. Aaron Rodgers, the Jets say, peace out, deuces, we're moving on. Does he play for another team next year, you think?
Aaron Glenn, that's my people. Okay,
Hmm.
I was with him
It
with the
is.
Jets. I like him. I like him a lot as a person. If I was the coach, that's the first thing I would do. To me, it's not about the way you spin the ball. It's about the way you lead. I would rather have Baker Mayfield. I'd rather have Brad Johnson. I'd rather have somebody who leads than Aaron Rodgers. I've never seen anybody follow Aaron Rodgers at any time. Doesn't mean he can't throw that ball, but I don't find him to be a leader. And does he find another team? I'd be shocked if he does. I just don't think anybody wants that anymore. I would put him in the same category of like a John Gruden. Is John Gruden because you know his X's and O's? Yes. but you have to deal with some stuff. And I think Aaron Rodgers is the same way. Can he still spin it? Yes. But you can't really tell him nothing, and that doesn't really work out.
Isn't it crazy how we see this in pro sports? How once a guy's physical deteriorates, people put up a lot less of their shit, right? Isn't that crazy? Like you come off of it a little bit, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's like, well, is it really worth dealing with that? Is the juice really worth the squeeze? Because I think we're seeing that with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I don't know if it's that different in real life because we're in the radio business, Jay, or we were, and if they're a salesperson, I remember there used to be a sales guy in the building. He was an asshole, but he was also the best salesperson out there.
Right.
So you got to kind of deal with the a hole because he brings in money. Now let him stop bringing in money. The a hole has to go. So I don't know if regular life is any different in the sports.
You got that right, buddy. All right. Ian Beckles. Check him out on social media at Ian Beckles. Beckles and Recher every Wednesday around 3:15, 3:30. We're going to talk about some crazy stuff like we do always. Ian's going to try to blow
Yeah,
smoke
man.
in my face. I'm coming
Yep.
up with like a shield this time because I do have
I'm
lightning on. I do have
I'm
lightning
ready.
on. I have lightning on Wednesday night. So
I'm ready for you.
there we go. Thanks, pal. At Ian Beckles, make sure you check out the Dignitary Tea in Kava House, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Beck, I appreciate you, brother. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you on Wednesday.
One love, kid.
One love.